Today, I'd like to share some remarkable chess tricks that can lead to swift victories. But before we delve into those, let me showcase a famous game played by Paul Morphy, a game that many of us have likely come across numerous times. This game took place in the early 19th century, where Morphy, playing as white. In the opening, Morphy started with pawn to e4. His opponent responded with pawn to b6, then pawn to d4, and his opponent played bishop to b7, Morphy played bishop to d3. At this point, his opponent made an unusual move by advancing their pawn to f5. Although this move initially appears to be sacrificing a pawn, it had a tactical idea behind it. And his opponent took the g2 pawn targeting the rook. And the game took an interesting turn. Morphy then unleashed a powerful move, bringing his queen to h5, threatening checkmate on g6. In response, his opponent played g6, hoping to defend against the imminent threat. However, Morphy played pawn to f6, sacrificing his queen to expose the black king. Despite its initial appearance as a blunder, this move made the game memorable. However, Morphy astutely employed a simple yet powerful combination involving a discovered check on g7. His opponent's knight captured on g7, and Morphy executed a beautiful checkmate by moving his bishop to g6. Many of us have witnessed this game multiple times and may wonder why it's being shown again. However, the purpose of showcasing this game is to highlight that many people are unaware of the modern variation of it. Now, let's move on to a particularly cunning tactic that can lead to a rapid victory. If you remember that game, white began with a move, and their opponent responded with an unconventional move, moving their bishop to b7. White played bishop to d3. I can guarantee that around 80 to 85% of the time, your opponent will play the seemingly tempting move f5, hoping to replicate the famous Morphy game. To surprise them, we will play a clever move, capturing the f5 pawn with our own pawn. This move might make them believe they have a similar position to the Morphy game, and for a few moves, we will maintain that illusion by capturing their pawn. However, here comes the unexpected twist. We will stun them with a move that they least expect, bishop g7. If your opponent is unfamiliar with this position, which is highly likely, they may follow a seemingly forcing sequence. After g7, we will have a discovered attack on their king. When their king moves to f8, the most logical reply for white is capturing the g8 square with our queen. But to their horror, they will realize that the black rook is now attacking our queen, putting the queen in a precarious situation. It's quite astonishing, but even an international master on chess.com fell into this trap and didn't know how to react beyond this point. The truth is, many people do not study certain lines and variations, leaving them vulnerable to these traps. In my game, the international master responded with a check from their bishop to c4, but after a simple move like a6 and moving queen to g4, I simply captured the rook in the corner. By playing accurately from this point onwards, black emerges with an exchange advantage, having an extra rook compared to white's knight and pawn. If you continue playing accurately, you can easily secure a victory. This is just one example of a cunning and sneaky trick that I guarantee many of your opponents will be unaware of, causing them to fall into the trap. Now, as a white player, if somebody tries the same trick against you, it's essential to know how to react. Trust me, playing accurately against this system requires a great deal of precision. So, here's what you should do. After a seemingly natural-looking move, bishop captures on g7. This move gives a discovered check, and after the opponent's king moves to f8, here comes the first twist. Please remember this: if your opponent plays bishop to g7, respond with the winning move knight to f3. Now, the first mate of the knight pair of threes is freed from this rook. If black doesn't capture this rook, it will escape. Let's consider some responses from black. There are 3 genuine replies we'll deal with one by one. If black takes the knight with bishop captures f3, the simplest response is queen captures f3, followed by moving the king. Please note that if the king goes to g8, there will be an immediate checkmate with bishop to g6, which is impossible. Another seemingly logical move for black is knight to f6, but again, a simple repetition occurs with queen captures on h8, leaving white with a clear rook advantage. In the case of black may go for the rook hunt with bishop captures h1. However, white has a very tricky move, knight to e5. At first glance, knight to e5 may not seem so strong, but the more you look at it, the more you'll realize its venomous potential. For example, the first threat by white is to deliver checkmate to the black king, and the second threat is that the knight can jump to the beautiful square g6, causing all sorts of problems for the black king. The only logical reply for black is to capture the knight with bishop captures e5. After the pawn recaptures, there are still some nasty threats looming. For instance, in one of my games, my opponent responded with queen to e7, but after a simple move like bishop to c6 check, the only remaining reply is knight takes c6. Then, queen takes c6, followed by king to f7. White has a winning move here, bishop to c4. Please note that if black had played d5 instead, the move e6 would have led to checkmate. The most logical reply for black would be knight to f6, attacking the queen. White should play queen to g3, as this queen is currently attacking the bishop. Thus, black's response falls short. Bishop f3, creating a checkmate threat. After the rook defends against the checkmate, white has a very strong move, knight to g5. This doesn't create an immediate checkmate, but the knight also attacks the rook. Black cannot defend both sides, and white emerges with a superior position. Lastly, the critical reply by black is bishop captures f3. However, white has a forcing sequence that leads to a favorable position. First, white plays rook to g1, creating checkmate threats. Black must defend against this threat with rook captures on g7. But after a simple queen to g3, multiple threats arise. The first threat is that the queen aims to capture the bishop, and the second threat is that the bishop has been unleashed on the rook. To defend against both threats, black's only reply is bishop to e4. However, the straightforward answer is bishop captures on d4, and after knight captures on e4, white has a lethal check with queen to f3. Please note that in this position, white has a queen, a king, and a knight, while black is left with just a king. When you look at the overall position, you'll realize that white is clearly in the driver's seat. I hope you enjoy and learn from these fantastic chess tricks. I have caught many people off guard, including many players with a rating of 2000 plus. Feel free to try them out in your games, you never know who may fall victim. Please share your thoughts and comments on my video. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with future videos. Take a moment to check out the other videos appearing on your screen right now. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care and peace.